Rules of War by Iain Gale. Read by John Telfer. Chapter 1. Captain Jack Steele, his right hand clenched tightly around the grip of his sword, stared into the morning mist. He paused, listening closely to the emptiness. Then, relaxing his hold on the sword hilt, yet keeping it still sheathed close by his side, he took up the pace and walked on, and waited for death. If it came to him, it would be from the front. But the only noises Steele could hear as yet were close behind him. He could sense the presence of his men there, although he could not see them, knew that they carried their muskets primed and their bayonets fixed. His men, a company of the finest infantry in all of Queen Anne's army, the finest infantry in all the world, British Grenadiers. Yet at this moment, not even the knowledge of their presence was of any real comfort to Steele. Such mists as this, he knew, could often be the soldier's friend, shrouding whole armies from unwanted eyes as they advanced to spring a surprise attack. But he knew too from bitter experience that this watery grey haze could also be a deadly foe. With every step now he felt the growing presence of the enemy, imagined the tall horsemen who would appear like ghosts from the enfolding shroud of grey, heard in his imagination the cruel hiss of their sabres as they slashed down towards him. Steele hoped to God that his mind was only chasing phantoms. His commanders had assured him that the French were still far away to their front, and he was realistic enough to know that, whether or not this proved to be the case, at this precise moment, the only people in whom he could place his faith were those very commanders, and the men who followed him to battle. Ignoring the knot of fear that gnawed at his stomach, Steele brushed away the horrors in his mind and pressed on. It was approaching 6:30 on a cool May morning, Whitsunday, on a barren patch of high ground which straddled the border between the Spanish Netherlands and Dutch Brabant. This should have been by tradition a day of rest and godliness, but Jack Steele knew that this day would not see God's work. They were moving west in the vanguard of the army, and his orders left him in no doubt as to their purpose. Halt before the village to your front, and take positions for assault. The trouble was that Steele had no earthly idea of where that village might be, nor, for that matter, where he might find the enemy. And now he was starting to wish that the spectres in the mist would prove real. As far as Steele was concerned, battle could not come soon enough. He cussed to himself, and spat out the wad of tobacco on which he had been chewing, and eased the worn leather strap of the short-barrelled fusil which it was his unique privilege as an officer of Grenadiers to carry on his shoulder. The soft ground was caking his boots with mud, and particularly to someone of Steele's tall frame and muscular build, every step seemed heavier than the last. The sound of raised voices made him look to his left. Instinctively, his right hand went across to the sword hilt and began to ease the newly greased blade from its scabbard. The red-coated figures of two of his men appeared through the swirling mist, apparently oblivious to their officer, one goading the other in some private joke. Steele relaxed and let the sword slide back. He was about to address them when from behind him another voice, its thick Geordie accent reassuringly familiar, muttered an order whose anger and purpose, though muted, were bitingly clear. "Quiet there, you two men! You're both on sort's orders now, and don't go thinking that I don't know who you are." Steele turned to the rear and saw the large frame of his sergeant, the Geordie Jacob Slaughter, his face boiling with rage. "God's blood, Jacob! Wasn't this meant to be a surprise attack? Advance to contact with the enemy were my orders, without a word spoken. What price now, surprise? The French will have us for breakfast. Who the hell were those men? Are they ours? Do I know them?" Slaughter shook his head. "New intake, sir, but they'll give you no more trouble. On me ward." "I'm sure they won't, Jacob, not once you've finished with them. But it's too late now for all that. They'll learn soon enough from the French. Keep talking like that and they won't see another dawn. It's no fault of yours. This army's not what it was." Steele knew himself to be right. This was not the same army that had carried its colours at bayonet point deep into the French lines at Blenheim 2 years ago and sent the combined armies of France and Bavaria.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?